Dearest, most esteemed, and noble viewer, our consciousness, your consciousness, you are anchored here in the physical form, and yet you are more vast than the skin of your body, than the shell of your form. You are more vast than your genetic vehicle. You are anchored here in this physical form, and yet you are more vast, more multidimensional than this 3D dimension. Please join me in this prayer. God, be in my head and in my understanding. God, be in my eyes and in my looking. God, be in my mouth and in my speaking. God, be in my heart and in my thinking. God, be at my end and at my departing. But God within us, God in all that we do, our highest self in all that we do, is demonstrative of the fact that we are more than this physical shell, this physical vehicle. So the church and the altar represent ourselves. Entering the temple from the most ancient times, entering the temple was entering into the human body. The altar being the head, your understanding, God within, God on your altar, God within your head, the center where people gather being the abdomen, conveniently called the nave, navel in church terminology. So your body is the temple. And everything in the Bible is a mythological study of the human mind and the body. And God be in my head and in my understanding. And we might think that the highest function of our head power is mental mastery, dominating various realms by knowledge. But if we spend our life in pursuit of some form of mastery, getting masterful, getting good at something, often that involves mental mastery in many fields. It takes a long time to develop mental mastery. But mental mastery can be thought of as overstanding rather than understanding. Now think for a moment what a wonderful thing it is to be understood by someone. Imagine that your mother is a doctor and her father was a doctor, and she's always wanted you to be a doctor because it was so fulfilling for her to be a doctor. And you've done well in college, and you've aced the MCAT, and now you've been accepted by a top medical school. But you're not nearly as excited as your mother is, and it gets you doing some soul searching. You realize, or you finally admit to yourself, that this is your mother's dream for your life, and you have a different dream for your life. So you sit down to tell her that you're not excited about being a doctor, but you are excited about finding out what you really want to do with your life. In that moment, your mom realizes that what she really wants for you is a fulfilling life, whatever that means for you. Then she opens her heart to listen, asking questions about what interests you, what your hopes and dreams are. You're able to pour out your heart, and it feels like the first adult to adult conversation you've ever had with your mother. That's what it feels like to be understood, a powerful form of love. As you go through your day today, dear esteemed, most honorable and noble viewer, use this prayer to help you understand someone as you would want to be understood. God, be in my head and in my understanding. God, be in my eyes and in my looking. God, be in my mouth and in my speaking. God, be in my heart and in my thinking. God, be at my end and at my departing. And so it is. Namaste. Namaskaram.